This is part one of a review and evaluation of the Neewer NW-ETZ adapter. It adapts Sony E mount lenses to the Nikon Z mount. This was a personal purchase. I bought the adapter because there are certain E mount lenses that I would like to be able to try out on my camera. I also frequently work in mixed production environments where I am working with people who are shooting with Sony mirrorless cameras, and being able to use lenses that they have in their kits when needed would be a big advantage. It comes with all of the accessories that you would expect, including a USB cable for updating the firmware. We did most of the testing with a Nikon Z7ii and a 35mm 1.4 G Master and a Sigma 85mm 1.4. Photographer and cinematographer Justin Paul was nice enough to help me out with this shoot. He shoots his still photography with a Nikon Z7ii, but primarily uses Sony mirrorless for his cinematography, shooting with both the A7S III and the FX3. He has a couple of really good prime lenses for the Sony E mount. Justin is very good at dramatic cinematic lighting setups. He used constant LED lighting for this with dramatic shadows and contrast. He also used a fog machine for some of these shots. This made for some challenging conditions for the autofocus system. Overall, the autofocus worked better than expected. We used my pretty ancient Atomos Ninja 2 to record the output from the camera so you can see where the autofocus was working and where it wasn't. The only real issue we had was that it got pretty cumbersome shooting with that setup after a while, especially when you're shooting handheld. At the end of the video, there will be a short slideshow showing some of the images that we shot. So far, how's it working out? Like, how's the autofocus?
It's working great. It's working as good as the Sony, in my opinion. It's a little bit slower, autofocus-wise, but I think that's just the Nikon technology.
You know, the 85 1.4 is definitely a lens I wanted to test out, and I know you have other primes like a 25 and a
35.
35.
And a Cine Prime.
Yeah, and you've got the G Master as well.
Yep.
Was it 35 or 25, the G
35.
Master? Ah, perfect. That's actually a really good lens too. So we're doing some stuff here with pretty dramatic, sort of semi-silhouetted lighting here.
Look at the camera, Lexi. Just your eyes. Keep your head back. Back. Just your eyes. Yep, good. Right there. Tilt your head back the other way. Yeah, but just move your eyeball. Yeah, there you go.
Is it working a little bit better with the better lighting now?
Yes. Looks fantastic.
So the autofocus is a little bit more sticky?
Yep. That's a good shot, Lexi. Am I blocking some of the light? That's why it's good.
Okay, so we've switched over to the 35mm G Master. That's a 1.4 or 1.2?
1.4.
All right. See is the autofocus working a little bit better with the 35?
Yes, it is, definitely. But the G Master autofocus is always better than the Sigma on the Sony cameras as well.
I have here a series of images from the shoot with the technical details included and screen captures of Lightroom zooming in on the details, especially in the eyes. It's a really good way to demonstrate how sharp these lenses are. Overall, both lenses performed really well. I'm very partial to the 85mm Sigma 1.4 because it splits the difference nicely between, say, a Nikon Z 85mm 1.8 and the Nikon Z 1.2. Autofocus worked really well on it, and the lens is extremely sharp. You can actually see Justin's reflection here in Lexi's eye. Personally, I really like fast 85mm lenses for both portraiture work and for video for close-ups and medium close-ups. If I didn't already own a Nikon Z Mount 85mm 1.8, I would strongly consider purchasing the Sigma 85mm 1.4 for the work that I do. I am looking forward to getting some Sigma zoom lenses to test out for video performance in the next few weeks. I'm really impressed with how both of these lenses performed. As you can see here with this 85mm shot that's kind of wide and at a distance, there is a lot of detail and sharpness in the image, which is really great with an adapted lens. The G Master 35 1.4 performed very well. Anecdotally, Justin mentioned that the autofocus seemed to be working just about as well as what he was used to natively on his A7S III. Towards the end of the shoot, I tested out the Sigma 85mm 1.4 with the adapter on my Nikon Z8. I was very happy with the results. The autofocus seemed to be about the same, if not similar to what I'm used to with my Nikon Z Mount 85mm 1.8, and the image quality was excellent, as well as sharpness. I went with a little bit more traditional portrait lighting for these images. Overall, I really like this lens adapter because it gives me the ability to have access to a bunch of lenses that aren't necessarily available on the Nikon Z platform as of yet. For Justin, who is shooting in both platforms, this gives him the advantage of being able to use every piece of glass that he owns on his Nikon Z7 II. A big advantage of using this adapter is the ability to use Sigma E-mount lenses that are far less expensive than their Nikon Z mount equivalents. Overall, I think that this adapter is a very good value, and I'm glad that I purchased it. I look forward to testing out its video performance in the next couple of weeks on my Nikon Z8. Special thanks to Justin Paul for his assistance on this and the use of his studio, and to our model Lexi, who did a phenomenal job. If you found this preliminary review of the Neewer NW-ETZ adapter informative and useful, comment, like, and subscribe, and hopefully this will enable me to create more of this kind of content in the future.